And then, finally, it gets just like an ocean. Your mind is perfectly calm. And you're just perfectly calm. And now, when you work on becoming one-pointed in your thinking, say you're doing tratak, which is a technique of working with a candle flame. This is one of the arms of yoga, which is pratyahara. You look at an external object. Now, most people, when they look at a candle flame, they sit down. The candle flame should be up here. It should be right above where your ajna is, the sixth chakra. You look at the candle flame and you try to make something happen. Well, already you've lost. The game is you put the candle there and you're here, and that's it. That's all you got to do. You just sit here and there's you and there's the candle. You don't look at the candle, you just be here and there's the candle being there. It's doing its thing, you're doing your thing. And you just sit there with the candle, and pretty soon all your thoughts are all around here. They're like little bugs flying in and around the candle flame. Just the candle, and I can look at the candle and I can see your glasses, and I can see your shirt, and I can see your dress. I can see all that. I can hear the door opening, and I can hear myself talking, and see my hands moving, and feel my muscles. And there's just me and the candle. Just my witness, and the candle is the witness, and the rest of it's just all happening around us. And as I do this, after a while, pretty soon all this quiets down, and I cease to be overwhelmed by all my senses until pretty soon there's just the candle and me. I didn't do anything. I didn't try to do anything. It just happened. And then if I keep doing that, pretty soon I am just there with the candle. Now that's one-pointedness of mind. All right? You've calmed down. You're able to think of one thing. Right? Now, the next part of that, the next leg, is called dharana, which means doing the same thing on something inside. Like you take ajna, you take this point where these three nerves meet up here. And instead of looking at the candle, you close your eyes and you focus on that place, right behind your brow, right in there. And again, you just be there. And pretty soon, that's where you are. That's all you are, is just a point of consciousness right there. That's it. There's not a body, there's nothing. There's just the point of consciousness right there. Now, when you have succeeded in doing that, you are nearly home. Then you hold it longer and longer, and it's called dhyana, and you hold it longer and longer, and you go into samadhi. Now, as you go, there are different levels of samadhi, which is this state where you've flipped over and you just, that place, that's all. You've given up everything else but that place. You're still in form. You're still being a candle flame. At that point, you can perform a thing called samyama, because at that point, you see, you have freed your consciousness from your body. In other words, you have overridden that veil of ignorance which had convinced you all those years that you, which is your pure consciousness, and that body and mind were one and the same thing. And by going down and down to that one place and then going behind, right back in there, you get to a place where you're just pure consciousness. And then, if you are in the candle flame, that's where you are. And samyama is the quality of getting outside of the egocentric predicament. So that when you perform samyama on something, like another person's mind, you are their mind. Literally. I'm not putting you on. It's not mind reading. You are there. That's where you are, because you're not here, certainly. Because you left your body. You have merged your consciousness. Here's what's happened. You have purified and purified. You've separated your consciousness from the gross energy, body, from the finer energy, thought. You get it down to this finest energy, which is what it's been all along, which is called the Atman, or Brahma, or Prakriti, rather. And then it merges, and it becomes the entire place. It's the entire universe. It merges into everything, because it's all interchangeable at that level. It's all interchangeable. You see, energy at that level is all interchangeable. And that's all you are, so you are part of it all. That's what the Hindus mean when they say, well, the place is in samadhi, you go to Sat Chit Ananda. That means absolute existence. It doesn't mean you exist, it means you are existence. Absolute knowledge. It doesn't mean you know, it means you are knowledge. Ananda, bliss, doesn't mean you feel bliss, it means you are bliss. You go to that place where you are it all. And you reside in that place where you are it all in the formless state. And then when there is the requirement for you to come down into some form or bring back something, you merely can go into that form to bring it back. In other words, in that place that he goes to, which I'm going to recite a little poem in a second about it, that place he goes to, in Satchit Ananda, there is no time. Past, present, and future, it's all part of the warp and woof of the nature dance. It's all nature's out there. He's part of nature. He's merged in it. It's all part of the same thing. But from this other point of view, it's all there. It's both there and he's part of it all. And therefore, since he's beyond time, he can be anything in any time. So he is actually my mother's swollen belly 9 months previously in Boston, Massachusetts, because there is the requirement of my rational mind to be overridden at that point. And that's the thing that is the vehicle he uses, which is the essence vehicle to deal with the emotional love I have for my mother and the feeling of the spiritual link I have with her. And he works with the whole thing, and that's the thing he pulls out of that Akash. Brings back into form. But it's all available to him. Ramana Maharshi was 17 years old. He was sitting in his uncle's study. He was a high school student. He wasn't even a religious high school student. And the kid feels he's going to die. And instead of calling somebody, he lies down and he feels himself die and be taken to the burning ghat and burned, and he goes through the whole trip. And then he says, well, just like I said, who's minding the shop? The same experience. It's the same experience. Except the difference between me and Ramana Maharshi was a little difference in sanskaras, because he never came down. See, he was a fully enlightened being at that moment. He stayed that way forever. And so what happened was, 2 weeks later, he split from home and he went off to Arunachala, the holy mountain in southern India, climbed up there and he meditated for the rest of his life. And people came by the thousands to visit Ramana Maharshi. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful saint. And wise pundits would come from around India. And they would ask him these technical questions about specific bits of knowledge from philosophy and from, very esoteric books. And he would give them answer in chapter and verse, though he had never read any of them. It's the same way in which my teacher knows 8 languages. 8 is all I've ever seen demonstrated. I assume he knows all languages. He must be all languages. Just like my guru could talk to me in English if he chose to. And he talks to me through my heart because he doesn't have to talk through gross language. And when I went to Delhi from the mountains in March, and I went by bus on 14-hour trip to Delhi, and I went to American Express and BOAC and all that, and then in the afternoon I was hungry, so I went into a vegetarian restaurant and I had a meal, and at the end of the meal I had been living very frugally. So I had ice cream, and they had 2 biscuits for the ice cream. And boy, I savored those biscuits. They were the first, sweet thing I'd had like that. And then I went to the Buddhist monastery I was staying at that night, and the next day I got on the bus, drove 14 hours back to the temple. The guru had been up in the mountains. I hadn't seen him for all over a month. A few days later, I hear the guru is back, and we all, you get on the bus, and everybody's rushing to the guru, because that's that feeling of love. You just want to see the guy, which is more or less relevant. And I get there and I fall, danda pranam, and I'm down there, and he grabs my hair and he pulls my head back and he looks at me and he says, "How'd you like the biscuits?" Now, you dig that where his consciousness is not only with me in the biscuits, not only with me right here speaking to you, and I mean that literally, literally. You see, I don't know what literal means, but I think I mean it literally. I don't know whether literal means gross senses, but if it doesn't, I mean it literally. He's not only there, but he's every other place at the same time. Like at the same moment he's digging me eating the biscuits, or, you know, he could be with his 10,000 other devotees wherever they happen to be, because there's no requirement that you have to be only in one place at one time. When you merge with it all, you are it all. You are it all. And we Westerners just can't conceive of what that means, because we're so caught in the finite conception of the way it all works, of our consciousness. The traditional greeting and parting in India is Namaste, which means I bless that which is the Atman in you. Therefore, Namaste.